2026, baby. What's good, good peoples? DayDay here from OmniNation Comics. Yo, it is 2026. Happy Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Yo, 2025 was not my year, but it was a great year for some good reads. And let me tell you, I had a blast reading some great stuff last year, even revisiting some. Even some of the stuff I had on my shelf, I had some gems that I had sitting on my shelf for a while too. It was such a great year for some good reads. I'm so excited. Now, usually when I do my favorite reads of the previous year, I usually pick about 5. This year, I'm going to pick 10 from last year because I read some good stuff and even revisited some good stuff. And, you know, sometimes when you read a story more than once, you kind of get a little bit more out of it the second time or the third time, however many times you read it. But yo, I got 10 of them that I do want to talk about, and I don't want to hold y'all too long, so I want to get the ball rolling. And I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently because this is not really a countdown per se. I do have my favorite one that I'm going to save for last, but I'm not really going to count down anything because I love each of these stories equally. Some a little bit more than others, of course, but I'm just going to be jumping around from the big two all the way to the indies. Yo, spoiler alert, I am going to showcase the big two stuff first, and then I'm going to go to the indies because, spoiler, the independent stuff is going to be the top stuff that I'm going to showcase in this video. They are killing it for me. Y'all will see what I'm talking about. All right, here we go. Let's get the ball rolling. All right, starting with the big two, aka Marvel and DC. All right, let's kick this thing off with a bang. Let's start with the House of X, Powers of X, oversized hardcover. House of X, Powers of X, aka Hoxpox, aka House of X, Powers of 10, is basically Jonathan Hickman redefining the X-Men forever. I mean, the man brings his extraordinary world building to this whole Krakoa era, and this is the beginning of it. This is where you start before you start reading that new Dawn of X omnibus. By the way, House of X is penciled by Pepe Larraz, and Powers of X is penciled by R.B. Silva. But this era is basically about the mutants uniting to secure their survival by creating a whole new nation and completely redefining their place in the world. Krakoa is the island that appeared in Giant Size X-Men #1, if I'm correct, back in the 70s. And Jonathan Hickman was saying, let's let Krakoa, this island, be their nation. Let's let this be the world where they will live in. Because X-Men always had a history with humans, right? Humans couldn't stand them. Humans created Sentinels, was always hunting them down, all kind of stuff. X-Men has always had that history. But this is basically them taking that power back, saying, okay, let's have our own world. And I know Professor Xavier was so proud to see this coming to fruition. And it's so big, it's so huge. Jonathan Hickman, to me, was just the perfect writer for this story because he establishes so many religions, governments, the society rules, all kind of stuff in this world. Like, the world building is so huge. This is my second time reading this story. Now, I missed the first printing of this oversized hardcover because I was hoping it would be collected in an omnibus with all the titles that took place in the Krakoa era. But Marvel did not include that in the new Dawn of X omnis that are starting to come out now. I think Marvel has like 11 of these mapped, if I'm correct. I want them all. But but House of X, Powers of 10, yo, this got me re-excited for the X-Men all over again. I think I read up to Reign of X or Destiny of X, one of the two. I said, you know what, I'm just going to wait for the omnis to come out so I can read this era all the way through because, man, it's so big, it's so huge, it's so exciting, and so cinematic. And Hickman was the right guy to launch off this era. You know what, I wasn't going to say this, but I'm going to say it. Don't judge me. The X-Men, to me, is almost like the Young and the Restless of comics. It goes on for generations to generations to generations. It's basically a super-powered soap opera, and you just fall in love with each family, each generation, and it has so many spin-off titles. Yeah, I love this stuff, man, and I can't wait. I'm enjoying what I'm reading in Dawn of X. Good God. Yeah, House of X, Powers of 10. This is awesome, man. I love it. Oh my God, the next one by Marvel. This is The Moon Knight by Jed MacKay. omnibus. Listen, this might be one of the highest praises I will give any omnibus. Moon Knight by Jed MacKay is one of the greatest character-driven runs I have ever read in my entire life. This character has some great runs, do not get me wrong. However, this is one of the greatest. Boy, I might have my new favorite Moon Knight run. I don't know, man. Oh, snap. Because my favorite Moon Knight run is by Charlie Houston. But this, good God the Mighty. And to make a long story short, it goes back to basics with him being a street level protector, especially at nighttime, while wrestling with his fractured identity and faith. And also, while also questioning whether if he's a servant of a god, which is Khonshu, who's his master, or choosing his own path. And it's such a great character-driven run. To me, Moon Knight is more than just bloody punches and fights and crime and all that kind of stuff. It's about a character really trying to find himself. Mark Spector has been through a lot. And you also see him having therapy sessions in this run. His home base is called the Midnight Mission, where he takes on missions at nighttime to go deal with these criminals. You also get to see the meat of this run, in my opinion, which is him dealing with himself, dealing with his past, trying to face his past. That's something I love that the Immortal Hulk omnibus was doing. I love what the Venomnibus by Donny Cates was doing. A lot of these heroes or comic book characters are really trying to face themselves because they never took the time to really face their past. And I love that that's what Jed MacKay was doing in this run. That's why this run means so much to me. And the artwork, by the way, is Alessandro Cappuccio. I hope I did not butcher your name, bro. Pray for me. And also Federico S. I'm going to leave it right there because I don't want to butcher his last name either. But this is such an amazing run. And I'm glad that he is still writing this run right now. Oh my God. I can't wait for the next Omni. I am definitely going to get the trades to catch up on the other half after this omnibus. But this was beautiful. Beautiful. I can't praise this run highly enough. This will be a separate video for a whole nother day. My God. All right, to DC. Now, let me tell you something. I couldn't believe that this even came out. I thought this, when this was first solicited, I thought it was a joke. I can't believe this even made it to the solicitations and actually came out. But this is Aquaman by Peter David omnibus. This freaking giant, good God, this is huge. Look at it, man. I can't believe this is real. Oh, this is going to be a separate video too. But Aquaman by Peter David this takes place in the 90s. So this is a edgier Aquaman. This is a brooder Aquaman, but this is also an Aquaman that's full of anger. He's isolated a lot. He's been through a lot in his past and previous runs already that Peter David came in and said, all right, let's make him even more cool. You know, Aquaman has always been slept on as a character, and it just doesn't make no sense to me. The man is a total BA. Peter David came in and was like, all right, let's take things up a notch. Let's take this man through a darker, character-driven direction and strip away all the jokes and present him as a dark, isolated king dealing with loss, responsibility, and what it truly means to rule the seas. And redefining what he even looks like. The man has a harpoon arm. I'm not going to spoil how he had got it, but it's beautiful. It's BA. Aquaman is not to be messed with in this run. He is very tough. I do believe that the looks of Aquaman in this run really inspired the looks for Jason Momoa in his movie. Basically, Jason Momoa adapts Jeff Johns' run while looking like Peter David's. But this is such a great underwater fantasy story about a king who struggles. Again, going back to what I said about Jed MacKay's Moon Knight, it really shows this character's inner struggles, him trying to find himself while dealing with all of this anger. And Peter David does an excellent job building this character from the ground up in this run. It's such a beautiful story, and Aquaman, you really just feel so bad for him because he's been through so much. But I love it. It's beautiful. It's character driven, character defining. Oh man, I know everybody praises Jeff Johns, but I really think Peter David really took Aquaman up a notch, for me personally. Don't get me wrong, Jeff Johns is amazing, but Peter David, yes Lord. All right, moving on to TKO Studios. We are in the independent section now. I'll save my last DC book for an honorable mention. But this is from TKO Studios. This is Sara, the deluxe edition hardcover. This is by Garth Ennis, and the artwork is by Steve Epting. By the way, his artwork is so cinematic. This whole book is the definition of cinematic. It's about a group of females in the Soviet Union fighting in World War II, and their finest sniper is Sara, whose loyalty and skill and humanity is tested in the war that offers no glory but only survival. And this book feels so real. Yes, it's inspired by some events that were real, and Garth Ennis wrote such a very thrilling story. It felt so real. This whole story felt real. I can hear the explosions in my head. I can hear the snowfall. I felt scared throughout this book because there was so much. And by the way, these women were coming against these German invaders, and it was just, it's so tragic. It's so real. Do not get invested, because I say that for a reason. In the world, not everybody makes it. Have you ever watched films like Hacksaw Ridge or All Quiet on the Western Front or Dunkirk or anything like that? That's what this book feels like. It felt so real, and the atmosphere, it's so quiet and it's so thrilling. The atmosphere is so thick. The tension is very, very real in this book. And Steve Epting's cinematic artwork really rocks this book. It's so cinematic, and it felt so real. What a phenomenal story. It's so real. Sara, good God, I'm moving. Oh my goodness, y'all gonna hear me talk about this company a lot more on this channel. But let's go to Valiant. Let's start with the Exo Man of War Deluxe Edition Book 1. I haven't revisited this stuff in a long time. Boy, I forgot how good this is. This is a story about Eric of Dacia, who is this Conan / He-Man kind of like warrior who basically is transported into modern times. I'm not gonna spoil how, but you gotta see how he tries to adapt into this modern time. He was like, I wasn't born here. I'm not gonna spoil how. That's a whole separate video. But you see how this warrior is brought into modern times and is trying to adapt. But he goes to war against this alien race called the Vine. And it's such a great sci-fi story mixed with fantasy. It feels like a Conan the Barbarian meets high concept sci-fi. It's such an epic adventure, and this is written by Robert Venditti, and the artwork is by Carrie Nord and Lee Garbett, just to name a few. But it's such an epic run. I think it's over 50 issues, and this deluxe is out of print, but you can get the I think Valiant has Universe Hero Origin paperbacks that collects a good majority of this in the second deluxe. But this is so freaking good. This is comics at its best right here. Robert Venditti did that. Some great characterization of this character too. And I got another one from Valiant. This is why I said independent is killing it. But let's go to Ride the Deluxe Edition Book 1. This is by Matt Kent, and the artwork is by the epic Clayton Crane. Let me tell you something. This takes place in the far future of Valiant. And this hits differently if you've read various titles from Valiant to get to here, because it hits differently, and it's cool to see what characters make it in this future. This is about this lone warrior or guardian navigating in this dystopian corporate controlled Japan and balancing this kind of like identity and a fight for a better future. And in this story, he is finding out real quick who's a hero, who's the villain, who controls what, and who controls what, if I can not spoil anything. It's such, it kind of reminds me of, kind of has elements of like manga-ish mixed with Alita Battle Angel with a mix of Blade Runner kind of and Ghost in the Shell kind of stuff like that. That's what the elements of this book feels like. It's so beautifully written. Oh my God, Valiant deserves their own video. But Rai is incredible. It's so incredible. And Rai is such a cool looking character. He's this cyberpunk samurai looking character. Bro, what more could you want? This will reignite your love for comics. Anyway, I gotta keep it moving. Valiant, I'm coming. More videos coming from them, all right? All right, from the world of Image Comics, let's go to their massive verse real quick. I've talked about this title before, and I can't stop praising it. This is Rogue Sun. Rogue Sun is written by Ryan Parrott, and the artwork is by Abel and a few other artists. But this is such a great story about this rebellious teenager named Dylan, and his father was mysteriously murdered, and Dylan inherits his father's powers through this artifact called the Sunstone that gives him flight, strength, and this fury-like powers where now Dylan has to learn how to navigate life with these new powers while also dealing with his personal life of being a rebellious teenager. It's a relatable story, but it's so epic and so relatable. I can't stop talking about it. It's so exciting. This deserves a deluxe edition treatment. Oh my God. I hope y'all listening, Ryan Parrott, Kyle Higgins, any of y'all. This story deserves to be upgraded in an oversized hardcover. It's such a beautiful story. I can't stop reading it. It's beautiful. I hope it goes on for a long time. But this is Rogue Sun. Beautiful story. All right, we are still in Image Comics. Let's go to the world of Ghost Machine. And I got a feeling that each of their titles is just going to make my top read list every year. But let's talk about Rook Exodus. This is the deluxe edition. I talked about it, but this is another title I will never stop talking about. In the future, the Earth is uninhabitable and they are living on a new planet called Exodus. And on this planet of Exodus, people are controlling animals. People are becoming wardens and controlling animals on this planet. And it's an epic sci-fi story because a lot of these animals are bigger than they should be. But also this planet is dying and people are trying to escape it. It's such a beautiful story. Rook has a tragic backstory and it feels so epic and so big. This is written by Jeff Johns and the artwork by Jason Fabok. It's so huge and I'm glad that Ghost Machine is giving us deluxe editions of these. These are almost the height of a DC Absolute. And it's so huge, it's so big, and it's so cinematic. It reignited my love for comics. It's beautiful. I love this story. Jeff Johns, keep it going. I can't wait to see where it goes. I'm ready for the next deluxe already, but Rook Exodus, super exciting title. All right, another one from Image Comics. This is Middlewest. This is the deluxe edition. They do have a compendium of this story because this deluxe is out of print, but this story is written by Skottie Young and the artwork is by Jorge Corona. I have never read a story. I slept on this story. I'm glad I found this deluxe for a good price. Yo, I have never read a story that brought me to tears just as much as this one. Boy, this one brought me to tears so many times. It is ridiculous. It's about this young teenager named Abel who's living in, you guessed it, Middlewest with his father. And what's so tragic about this story, this kid is so emotionally tormented every single day because his father is abusive to him. Emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And if you can't stomach that, this story might not be for you. But this story was very emotional. And the world that they're living in is filled with magic, monsters, and whatnot. And this is a great story of grief, but also discovering your own powers. And Abel has his own powers of his own. I'm not going to spoil what that is. But this is such a beautiful story. It made my year. This almost made my #1. This was so freaking good. Oh God, this is a great story. I couldn't put it down. It's 18 issues. Boy, Abel, look at him. Oh God, look at him. This is a separate video for another day, but Middlewest, beautiful story. And my #1 is coming from Image as well. This is, doggone it, this is The Knives. I'm so glad Criminal is back. This is by Ed Brubaker and the artwork is by Sean Phillips. I'm so glad this is back. This is my favorite comic book series of all time. I love Criminal. There's no doubt about it. It's, oh my God, Ed Brubaker is back. The cartoonist Jacob Kurtz is back. Angie is back. Tracy Lawless is back. Oh my God, I love this story so much. And this story follows all three of them in their journeys. Y'all know in Criminal, everybody makes a difficult choice and every choice they make has consequences. This is The Knives. I'm so glad it's back. Oh God, I'm so excited. I love The Knives. It's so good and it's mature for you kids out there or anybody that's reading this, it's mature, so there is some nudity or some violence and all that kind of stuff in this book. This is grown folks book. This book is definitely for the mature readers, but it's so freaking good. This had to be the #1 spot. I'm so glad that it's back. It's such a great story. Ed Brubaker still got it. He still got it, and I want more. I can't wait for the next chapter of this new criminal saga. Oh man, Brubaker, bring it on! This was so good. So while The Knives was my favorite read of last year, I gotta say, man, for my honorable mention, it's coming from DC, or their Black Label line, because this story is creator owned. This is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and the artwork is by Riccardo Federici, but this is The Last God. I think this has been renamed to the Felspire Chronicles, if I'm correct. Somebody tell me in the comics, or I'll tell me in the comics. Somebody tell me in the comments. I'll put it up here just to correct myself. But yes, so basically The Last God, if I could sum it up in a few words, it's basically Criminal meets Game of Thrones, if that makes sense. So you have this story where 30 years ago, there's this demonic force called Moltep, and this force was taking over bodies and people were getting killed left and right. 30 years ago, this fellowship of people thought to have killed this demonic force. But 30 years later, you found out that this demonic force has been laying dormant in somebody, I'm not going to spoil who it is, but it really wasn't killed 30 years ago. It's a great story of deception, but also seeing people's past consequences catch up with them. This is a great epic fantasy story. It's very dark, it's very violent, it's for the mature reader again, because it's so violent. It is very violent, but it has such a great message to me in my mind. But it's beautiful, and I think that's the right way to describe it, as Criminal meets Game of Thrones, because everybody's past has consequences, especially in all the choices that you make. What you sow is what you also reap. But this is such a great story. Philip Kennedy Johnson built a huge world, and I gotta do this. I gotta show y'all this. Underneath the dust jacket, you get a whole map of the whole world. This is still in print, if I'm correct, but this is great. You learn a lot from this story, and it's so dark and it's so huge. I would love to see this get adapted into an epic TV show or something like that. But this is great. It also has elements of Tolkien's work on, like, The Lord of the Rings, or what's that one book that is so hard on the brain to read? The Silmarillion. Like, it's very dense in that way too, but Philip Kennedy Johnson writing here is huge. I told y'all the man is great at world building. You heard me talk about that on his Superman. This is huge. Alright y'all, that was my 10 favorite reads from last year, plus my honorable mention of The Last God. Y'all, as y'all can tell, I had a blast reading last year. So many great stories that I visited for the first time, or have slept on for a long time, or it was so many good stuff. So much good stuff. Some of these books are still in print, and some of these books are out of print, but if you want to get some that are still in print, check out our sponsor, Panel Bound Comics. They are killing it over there, JP and crew. I'm super excited. I have the discounts here if you want to save some money. Y'all, more videos to come. Thank y'all so much for watching. Hey, can you name some of your favorite titles that you've read last year? I would love to hear about it in the comments. Sound off. But I'll see y'all later. Deuces. Ooh, Lord. Oh, man, this is great.